Passion, spiritual insight, shining bright, truth and guidance for your life. Yeah, when your heart meets the light, your soul comes alive. It's time to rise. It's just the sound of your heart in tune. Pearl's voice like a rising moon. Ooh, shining divine.
Welcome to the Pearl Hale podcast. We're excited. We're super stoked. It is Women's History Month, and we are so excited. We have a dynamic guest with us today, Alberta Payton, and she is with us. She has written a number of books, and we're excited. She's going to help us with this conversation. I can do all things. We're talking about women, some great women, some pioneers. How are you tonight, Alberta?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, ma'am.
Hi, everyone. I am happy to be here. Thank you, Minister Hale. It is a wonderful day here in the Philadelphia area, and I am stoked, as she said, to be here on the show tonight.
Great. Let me just give you a little bit of background about what we're talking about tonight. And for those of you who are joining us, we're super stoked. We're super excited about what God is doing in this season. And we want you to be transformed by our conversation on tonight. First off, the scripture is, I can do all things through Christ which strengtheneth me. And how many of you know women out there, you've been struggling with some stuff, but you know you get that strength from your faith? Philippians 4:13. And that is our scripture on tonight. We're going to delve into this conversation on tonight about women who have done some awesome things. And I got as I say, and I got one of my homegirls here to talk about it with me.
Yes.
Okay. Faith empowers women. You know, moral leadership. Faith frames purpose and authority, elevating women as trusted guides all throughout history. As you're going to see, women have been a focal point for getting things done. Mm-hmm. Community and resilience, belief in belonging, nurture, self-worth, solidarity, and courage. The catalytic social change, women-led faith groups drive reforms in education, health, and rights. And we're going to delve into this conversation because there's so much that can be said, and we're going to get ready to move into our next slide. And as you know, Alberta, that Harriet Tubman was one of the pioneers, faith-driven activism out of the gate, as we say.
Yes.
Her life was that of one that presented herself as one of God's daughters, someone who's done great things in his name on this earth. And in 1849, which is the first timeline, she escaped to freedom, guided by faith. Tubman escaped slavery and commits to the work of liberation.
Yes.
And in 1850 was the first rescue mission. She returned south, relying on prayer and strategy to lead others to safety.
Yes.
Third thing she did was in 1857, she rescues her parents. Now, isn't that interesting? How all the health ailments of people pretty much know a lot about Harriet Tubman, but isn't it interesting? Out of all the health ailments that she suffered, that God gave her such strength, such wisdom
Yeah.
to um, carry out this mission. So she undertakes a perilous mission embodying courage, dedication, and care. And in 1863, the Combine River Raid leads an operation freeing hundreds, faith and leadership in action. She was really a trailblazer.
Yes.
And in 1913, enduring legacy, passing crowns, a life where faith fueled activism and justice. Isn't that interesting? Um,
Yes. She really was an extraordinary woman of faith, a woman of courage. When I think of Harriet Tubman, the word that comes to me most readily is selflessness. The
mm,
fact that she would go back, after enduring all that she didn't stay in her own freedom. She went back and she got others. So selflessness, on top of all of the courage and all that she had. So she just was an extraordinary woman of faith and leadership. I
yeah,
think sometimes we forget that when she went back and got all those people, she had to lead them. So she's just extraordinary.
absolutely. And you make a good point. And so many women have paved the way and given their lives,
Yes.
although we live in a patriarchal society. So many women have done some incredible things. And which brings me to our next slide, which is Michelle Obama, to come to the present.
Mhm.
Extraordinary person who have, I'm a quoting queen. I love some great quotes. And
Coach, yeah.
she has one of the lessons that I grew up with was to always stay true to yourself. It's very important because a lot of times it's very difficult to stay true to yourself with all the things
Yes.
that we endured, past traumas, past hurt. And she says, and never let what somebody says distract from your goals. A lot of times you hear people all the time saying, um, well, they said this, they said that. You got to push through your
Push
pain.
through.
You got to push all of that off because God has something greater. And as you could see, these women pushed through their pain and did some extraordinary things on this earth.
Yeah. And it's funny that, well, not funny, but it's very true that you say that we're pushing through things, that we're trying to be true to ourselves, because in this society with the social media and all of the social media, just internet, all of that, you find yourself where you don't know, is it me or is it somebody else? Am I trying to be what I see somebody else as being? And then a lot of times, if you do put yourself out there, there's people that want to distract you from your goals by saying, oh, well, you're not like this one, or maybe you're not as good. And we have to push through all of that. And that's one of the things that I admire Michelle for. She constantly says that, be true to yourself, push past. And she always says, when they go low, we go high, things like that. So, she's an extraordinary example. I'm so glad to have had her as our first lady.
Yes, yes. Yeah, that's an excellent point. And another quote that I like that she has, when you worked hard and done well and walk through that doorway of opportunity, you do not slam it shut behind you. You reach back and
Mhm.
you give other folks the same chances that helped you succeed.
Yes. That kind of goes back to Harriet Tubman, how she reached back. She didn't stay in her freedom. She reached back and helped others, come through. So,
Yeah, yeah, they were some extraordinary women, women of faith, women of resilience, women pushing through their pain. And we want you tonight, you're watching the Pearl Hale Show, Transformational Speaks. We want you to look at the lives of these extraordinary women and know that you are a life change, that you can transform your life, and that you are a world changer, that you bring so much as a woman to the world. And these gifts that we're talking about tonight did some extraordinary things. Another one of my favorites in modern day female spiritual leaders is Bishop Vesti Murphy McKenzie, first female AME bishop, champion of gender equality and faith based leadership. Bishop McKenzie has been active in social justice issues for more than 3 decades. You know,
Mhm.
she was appointed in 2009 by President Barack Obama um, to the inaugural White House Commission on Faith-Based and Neighborhood Partnerships. She was named by the Huffington Post in 2014 as one of the 50 most powerful women religious leaders in the world. And that's not an easy title to get.
No, she pushed through those doors in our faith environment, which a lot of people don't realize, but that's a great feat because you still have some that don't want to see women in those roles. And I'm glad that that she's that example for us. And even though it's faith based, she's an example for us in whatever fields we're in to to push forward to become the leaders that we can be. So she really was a great example.
Yeah, and a trailblazer.
Yes.
Certainly, and she's certainly still till this day doing a lot of work. So you see, y'all, ladies, I want you to come in the room. I want you to chit chat in the conversation. I want you to get in because we got some golden nuggets. We got some women who decided I can do all things through Christ that strengthens me. And you got a lot of women who had a lot of strength, who had a lot of resilience to push through their pain. And I don't know who we're talking to out there today, but you might be going through something. Just look at the lives of these women and know that you can push, shift, change, and transform into a new you, into a better you. And I want to hear from you. I want you to click and subscribe if you're on YouTube. Also, I want you to make comments. We got my home girl, one of my other home girls in the house. We got Alberta Payton in the
Okay.
house, and we are just having a good time. And our next champion, one of my favorites is Mother Teresa. In 1950, Mother Teresa established the Missionaries of Charity, a religious congregation that was initially dedicated to serving the poorest of the poor in the slums of Calcutta, India. Over the decades, the congregation grew to operate in over 133 countries as of 2012. Um, Very interesting uh, woman, as you can see, women of all nationalities, multiculturally, have blessed the world. And
Yes.
as you can see it, her life, I don't know if you've ever read parts of her um, biography, but she suffered a lot, but she gave so much love.
Hmm.
And the nurturing nature, the female spirit, we've had to take a lot, um, sis, to get through a lot of things.
Right.
Women of all cultures, um, women have always been the backbone, the matriarchs of
Hmm.
the family. And as you can see, that taking on the poorest neighborhoods, um, sick people, she's seen so many people sick. Did a lot of work with HIV and AIDS in these countries, and I mean in mass.
Yeah.
And um, to just give yourself over like that, to just pour out.
Yeah.
say, Lord, I'm available to you. That is awesome. Not too many of us can do that.
I was going to say, yeah, I agree. I was going to say that many of us would shy away from being around the poor and mostly the sick. You know, when you say somebody has HIV or some other diseases, we shy away from. I don't want to be near, that type of thing. But she had her selflessness as well, and she did it in spite of, And when I think of Mother Teresa, I think of Christ, how he said, that we're to be servants one to another, and that's a prime example. She was being an example of Christ, what Christ did. She came and she served those that were less than or had less than, and she did it with a pure heart. Not considering herself. She didn't go there and say, well, I'm not going to go because maybe I'm gonna get sick or whatever the case may be.
Right.
She did it helping the people who couldn't help themselves. And that's somebody to inspire to be like. We want to be like Christ. And he says, that's what she was doing. She was aspiring to be like Christ. And that's how we should be, especially as Christians. We should aspire to be like Christ. So she really was a woman of leadership. Some people, I think, when they see her, they don't see leadership, but she really was a leader, and just someone that we can look up to. So
Yeah, and all these women, they've done some extraordinary things. And like I said, it could only be but through the grace of God
grace of God.
in pouring themselves out in all that they do.
Yeah.
Don't touch that dial. We're going to be back with more. You're hanging out on the Pearl Hale Show, Transformational Speaks. Life changes equals life transformations. And I got one of my homegirls with me. I got Sister Alberta in the house, and we're going to come back. She's a dynamic author, speaker. You don't want to miss it. And we are going to come back. We're going to be back in a moment with more. And I'm chatting it up with her tonight.
Yes.
And we're going to be talking about some things that she's doing that is dynamic. Don't touch that dial. We'll be right back. Also, consider women in leadership. HBCUs, we're supporting HBCUs. We support a lot of good causes, but also women in leadership. And this is part of it. And I want you to click on that QR screen when you see this commercial and consider giving a donation to the Black Student Leadership Summit. We're creating men and women leaders all across the country to do greater works. We'll be back in a moment with more.
What does it take to be a change maker? Confidence, opportunity, and the right support. The Black Student Leadership Summit is more than an event. It's a movement designed to uplift Black students at historically Black colleges and universities. Through inspiring speakers, interactive sessions, and leadership resources, we help students amplify their voices, embrace their potential, and create lasting change in their communities. But to make this possible, we need your support. Your donation grants access to transformative mentorship, educational resources, and while raising funds for HBCU students, every contribution, big or small, helps develop the next generation of Black leaders, equipping them with the tools to thrive. When you give, you're not just supporting students, you're strengthening entire communities and shaping the future. Click the link below to donate today. Join us. Inspire change. Build a lasting legacy.
Welcome back to the Pearl Hale Show. We're super excited. I'm hanging out with my sister here, and I want you to click and subscribe. Tell a friend. Tell them we're hanging out in the house tonight on the Pearl Hale Show. And I got my sister. I'm going to tell you a little bit about her. She's helping me on tonight. We told you about some fierce sisters. This is another fierce sister. I have with me Alberta Payton, is a Philadelphia born author, speaker, and content creator. You heard me, with a lifelong passion for storytelling. She first entered the literary world with her collection of short stories, Inspirations, before returning to writing to publish her debut novel, Quest for Hell, the first installment in the Carter's Crossing series. Her work blends Southern family drama, mystery, and heartfelt relationships, exploring themes of faith, legacy, and the bonds that shape our lives. In addition to writing, Alberta connects with readers through speaking engagements and her online platform, where she encourages others to pursue their passions and live purposefully. She is currently working on the sequel, Carter's Crossing, The Return, scheduled for release this spring. I want you to show some love for none other than one of my other favorite homegirls, Sister Alberta Payton. Hey.
Hey. Thank you, Minister Hale. Again, I am so glad to be here today with you, celebrating Women's History Month. I am glad to add my voice to the many voices and stories of women all over the world. As Minister Hale said, I am a Philadelphia born and raised wife and mother, also an author. I wrote some short stories some years ago, and I say some years ago because it's been quite a few years ago. And I sort of stopped. But then I rediscovered my passion for writing. And in the last year is when I wrote and published my first novel, which is Quest for Hell, which we will talk about today. But I found out that my passion is my purpose. And so I was glad to start writing again. And I know that that is going to be my direction from now on. So I'm glad to be here and share it all with you.
Thank you so much. I want you to let us know, we're talking about women who can do all things through Christ that strengthens them. And we talked about some powerhouses, and you are in your own right. You've done a lot of things yourself. I want you to tell us who were some of the people who inspired you to become a writer.
Well, there is one person in particular, and some may know this author. The author is Judith McNaught. I stumbled onto Judith some years ago, and she really was the inspiration for me. One of the things that I admired about Judith is she was a master at creating plots and themes. But the one thing that grabbed me was she created these unforgettable characters. And so my stories, all of my stories start with characters who are real, emotionally rich, so that a lot of my stories are fiction. That's the genre that I'm in. So even though my stories are fictional, they're still valid and relatable because of these characters. So she really inspired me. I mean, I always loved to read and write since I was a little girl. But after reading a lot of her stories, she really inspired me to write. And like I said, to write rich characters that others can relate to.
It's interesting. What are some topics that you deal with in your novels, and why they are important for women? And, you as a female author, I've seen some of your books. They are very interesting. Unconventional in terms of, some people, if they're a inspirational writer or Christian writer, but you write about these themes in novel form. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, well, all of my stories, actually, mainly Quest for Hell, it runs the gamut of emotions. There's love, loss, fear, regret, all of these things, because I'm a dialogue person. I love dialogue, and I love writing rich characters so that they will display meaningful conversations in the books. So the topics that I pick are always dealing with families and relationships, so that because it's life, and these are the things that I like to talk about. I like to talk about love and romance and how to solve unresolved family issues, because those are some of the things that we deal with today. The society that we live in is so crazy. You need to be able to settle back in on your family. Family is what's important. So I delve into those type of topics, which are real, even though my stories are fictional. Again, you can relate to them because of these topics: love and fear and regret. That's everywhere. So it's something that you can relate to, and so that's why I add that in most of my stories.
Interesting. Like you said, love, regret. Uh, Most people who've lived have gone through um, those types of things. So for you to incorporate that into a novel, um, and so people can have some fun reading and an interesting twist at the same time. So for those of you who don't know, you're getting some inspiration, but also you're getting a good story. You're getting a good read.
Yes, because in Quest for Hell, a lot of people see the title Quest for Hell, and they think that it's some type of scary
Yeah.
novel, and really is not. It's actually a family drama. It's a family drama set in the South, and it follows a young man who travels from Philadelphia to the small town of Carter's Crossing, Georgia, and he's going there to meet a grandfather who he barely knows, and what he thinks is going to be an uneventful visit turns into something deeper, because he gets drawn into this unusual quest of his grandfather and his grandfather's friends, who are digging beneath a field that is believed to be cursed and is the source of all of the mysteries and rumors that are rooted in the town's past. So, though the core of the story is about Trey and the unusual quest, the core, or the backbone of the story, are the relationships, the women in the town who hold it all together, based on the decisions that they make, their resilience and their faith holds it all together. So again, it runs the gamut of emotions and a lot of dialogue. Again, I said I'm a dialogue person. I wondered if any of the other writers are like me. I love good conversation, meaningful conversation, because it drives the story. So yeah, it's not gory or scary. Someone asked me, "Oh, is it a scary? Is it something that they would make a scary movie?" And I said, "No, it's not. One of the main characters has a fear of hell, and so we talk about that in the book. So it really is a family drama."
Interesting. It's a very interesting book, and it's interesting that you say that you're a dialogue person. Um, a lot of times that's an indication that you're in tune with yourself as a woman. You know your love language. You know what you like. You know how to navigate through challenges. Being a wife and having a family of your own, you know what it's like when you just are not worrying about yourself. You have other people that you have to help get through this life as well. And we're going to put up on the screen, for those of you, we want you to grab a copy of her book. There's the QR code. We want you to grab that QR code and grab a copy of this book. It is interesting, it's dynamic, and it's also inspirational. For those of you who are concerned about the title, Quest for Hell, don't worry, there's some inspiration in that title. And it's a good read. I think a lot of times we are not well rounded. We can learn a lot from reading other pieces of literature.
Mhm.
Inspirational things. This is also have an inspirational piece, but I think that when you read a variety of books, we talked about Vesta McKenzie, we talked about Mother Teresa, and
Yeah.
I read her biography, and it was interesting all the pain she went through. Harriet Tubman, all these women who let let God use them to be daughters of
Right.
His, to do great things on this earth, and all the women who you see springing up, helping to bring life to someone, helping someone come through. So this book helps families relate to one another when they have difficult situations. And this Women's History Month, Sister Alberta wants you to know that this book is going to help you and your family. She's big on family, she's big on faith, and she's big on love. And so this book is going to help you navigate through it all. And we want you to click on the QR code and get a copy of this dynamic book. Um, she's also have a series coming out. And I want you to tell us, Alberta, how can this book be a blessing to a lot of women who are struggling with some things? Because you have a lot of men on the cover. Uh,
Yeah, the men are that core group that are doing the dig in the story, but the women are the backbone. But what I wanted my readers to come away with from reading Quest for Hell is that it's okay to ask questions. It's okay to search for the truth. We have, like I said, we have a lot of unresolved family issues, a lot of family secrets, and a lot of us are afraid to go back and delve into it or seek the truth. Sometimes the questions matter more than the answers. And it's okay to search. Now, not that when we search for that truth, it's not going to come up with maybe some consequences that we have to face, but that's okay. If we hold on to love and faith and our family support, we're able to get through it. And that's what in the book, when you read, you'll see that the characters are dealing with. There's a lot of issues from the past that they're dealing with in the town, and it takes them digging deep. That's why you see them digging on the cover, digging deep to get to the truth, to uncover some answers that's going to help them with the rest of their lives, to uncover things that were mysteries or just things that were unsolved, family problems, things that people don't want to talk about, by asking questions and talking. I'm big on that, having conversation and talking. That's the only way we can get through issues and resolve things, by people not talking, holding it in, holding secrets forever. You know how families, and someone has a secret that, you hear down the line, yeah, it's a family secret. Nobody talks about it, but we need to talk about it, So that's what I want my readers to come away with, ask the questions. Don't be afraid to ask and search for the truth. Yeah, again, it might be some consequences, but if we hang on to each other, support each other, hold on to our faith in God, faith in ourselves, we can get through it.
yeah, it's interesting you say that, because the digging represents uprooting
Yes.
things that hurt us. A lot of times, those ouch moments, those hard conversations that come to the surface become healing. Usually, the matriarchs of our family, Big Mama, uh, who took care of so many people's children, who mothers who've opened their homes to a lot of people, um, women who have always endured a lot,
Mhm.
digging for the answers. How can we keep the family together? A lot of people says it's 80% the woman, 20% the man that's keeping the family together. But we need both. Um,
Yes.
we
And
do.
we bury a lot of things. So that's the metaphor in there with, that we're burying things that we need to start digging up, in order to face them, to get past them, to um, clear ourselves of the regret and the fear and all of these different emotions that we hold on to, we really need to dig these things up, to ask the questions, that we're scared to ask. A lot of times we're scared to ask. Things happen and you're scared to go to mom and say, what happened, or what is this, and it's time now for us to not be afraid, to just go ahead and ask the questions we need to ask so that we can get past these things.
I think you said something interesting, and now is the time. I think as women evolving in this century, a lot of things were taboo in terms to just even talk about.
Yes.
Now, and even therapy and those things were shunned upon.
Yes.
Because it was not the thing. You're supposed to take it. You're supposed to be a strong woman. But now we're learning that it is not wise to keep things in,
right,
to bury your feelings,
mm-hmm.
Because it's not healthy.
Yes,
and the notion of the superwoman, that, but we realize that we can do nothing but through God, through Christ that strengthens us.
That's
and
right.
That take the premise, and that's why we looked at these dynamic women who've done some great and awesome things to help us navigate through these challenges. Yes. Now, what are some of the things that you've helped women with? I know you talk a lot about family in your books, and you're bold. You're bold enough to bring up things that people wouldn't normally bring up. But in your boldness as a woman of faith, what are some things that you've had to help women navigate through?
Well, the thing that always comes up is that, we go through so much as women, especially as Black women, we go through so much. And there's a tendency to want to give up. I know, because I've been there, done that. There's a tendency to want to give up. And, you have to be resilient. You have to, as there's a song that says, encourage yourself. And that is so true. When the world is beating you down, you have to encourage yourself, pat yourself on the back, pull yourself up and say, I have faith in God. I'm going to do it. I'm going to be resilient. I'm going to move forward. And then I tell people, find your passion. When you find your passion, one of the things that always bugged me so bad was I used to say I didn't know what my purpose was. Wow. And it wasn't until someone said to me, when you find your passion, that thing that you love, that thing that you would do if you don't get a dime for it, that is your purpose. So when you find that passion and you find your purpose, that keeps you going. That gives you strength. That helps you to be resilient. And what I found in the last year really is that when you're resilient, when you're picking up and going on, you become an example for somebody else. Somebody is watching you. And so when they see that you can do it in spite of whatever you might be going through, that gives them the courage, the will to do it for themselves. And that's what we need to do, women as women, encourage each other, let someone else see the steps that you're taking so that they know I can do it too. So that's what I try to, to display and to tell others, don't give up. Don't give up regardless of the situation. Have faith in God, have faith in yourself, be resilient because someone else is watching, someone else is looking at you. And from your good works, someone else will be able to pick themselves up and do something, and overcome something. So that's what that is what I'm telling everyone, because that's something that really has just been it's just been the joy of my life, realizing what my passion is, realizing that my movement, my upward movement and my rising is helping someone else to rise.
Wow. And I think that's what all of the women that we were talking about demonstrated in Michelle Obama's quote, yes. Comments. When you make it, you want to pull someone else with you. Mother Teresa dedicating her life, so many women, all the work that Bishop Vesti McKenzie has done,
Yeah.
Harriet Tubman, all these trailblazers. And so if they can do it,
We
you
can.
can too.
Yeah.
You know, one of my favorite women poet laureate is none other than Maya Angelou, and I just love her quote. If you don't like something, change it.
Change it.
But if you can't change it, change your attitude.
Right.
Sometimes um, we have to shift the way we see things.
Yes.
Um, in order to bring transformation, sometimes we as women have to understand that sometimes it's not others. God is saying shift, deal with the situation differently. Find out what are your triggers. Forget about someone else's. Find out what you want to do on this earth, how you want to empower people. And as Michelle Obama so eloquently put it, you have to let go of what other people want you to be, and you
Mhm.
have to be authentic to yourself. You
Right.
know, you're a wife, you have children, right? But that may
Right.
not be someone else's path.
Right.
If they try to be like someone else, it's not going to work because
Right.
that not be their path. You know, you have to know and be authentic to yourself. You
Right.
have to be true to yourself. And a lot of times, as women, a lot of times, Sister Alberta, what happens is that in women burying a lot of secrets,
Hmm.
it's because it's so much pain. Sometimes it needs to be uprooted.
Right.
We need to find ways to deal with it, but we often get the stigma.
Right.
We often don't get a pass like men.
Right.
So a lot of times, depending on who you are, it's very difficult to block out what someone thinks or what someone said. You know, back in the day, that embarrassment
Yes.
on your family. In your book, you deal with a lot of things as far as family dynamics, but Big Mama,
Yeah.
Mama, none of them told anything. You kept it to your grave
Right.
because, in a way, they didn't have the tools that we had.
Right.
They didn't have, it wasn't cool to go see a therapist.
Right.
It wasn't cool not to keep it together. You know, I mean, they had to be tough because of what they went through in the time that they went through a
Yeah.
lot of things. So they had to quickly bounce back.
Yeah.
I can't stay in this pain. So oftentimes, um, because it was a different time, they handled it in the
Yeah.
best way they could.
Yeah. And a lot of times they buried things because of the shame.
Yes.
And I think you mentioned how we look at what somebody else is going to say. We worry about what somebody else is going to think. I can't open up. I can't say this because somebody's going to think ill of me. They're going to think that I'm this way or whatever. And really, we have to get past what people think. Somebody said, and I may not be quoting it right, but they said what other people think, other people's opinions or what they think is none of your business or something like that. And that used to always go past me. I'm like, well, how is it none of my business? But in essence, what they're saying is, you can't control what other people. You could be doing your best and they hate you. You know what I mean? So, getting past what other people think, because that's why we bury these things, the shame of it. I'm going to put this aside because I don't want nobody to know. And it's like, we need to get it out in the open and we need to stop worrying about what other people think in order to heal ourselves. We have to heal ourselves. And sometimes in healing yourself, you have to walk away from, what other people think or feel, or, what they're trying to put on you. As Michelle Obama said, people want to make you who they want you to be. And, you have to be who you are. So, yeah.
And also, too, we have to learn how to walk in loving kindness as
Yeah.
well. Um, You may not agree with me.
Right.
We may have differences of opinion, but at the same time, let's reason together.
Yes. Yes.
I grew up in a place that where people come from all walks of life, different places all over the globe. And what I had to learn is a global perspective.
Yes.
So this is your world,
Hmm.
but someone from another place may not see it that way
That way.
because
Yeah.
of how they grew up. And as women all over the globe, have fought for so much. There's so many people I didn't even mention, but there are so many women who've done some extraordinary things around the globe.
Right.
Uh, Still, only about 20% of women in uh, religious leadership, in faith based leadership. But we know that those things are changing. You have people like Bishop Vesti McKenzie, who paved the way, uh, who really made a big difference, and going out in the trenches in the community, uh,
Yeah.
helping people. And that's where we want to be, is where we're sons and daughters.
Right.
We use a lot of religious terminology. I'm saved, I'm a Christian. I want to be a son and daughter in this season.
Yes.
Somebody
Yes.
who's really doing something, making an impact, not just a title bearer,
Exactly. Yeah.
uh, but somebody who, if I can help somebody, then our living will not be in vain.
Exactly. Reaching.
And go
Mhm.
ahead.
I was just saying, like you were saying, reaching back and helping someone, not just, oh, I'm a Christian and I'm just going to sit in my Christianity and not, we need to be reaching back to one another, helping each other in our faith, as well as, just in everyday living. That's one thing that women, I think we're learning to do it. We need to do it more, but to help one another, to lean on each other, to uplift each other, instead of always feeling like it's a competition, or you got to be one up on somebody or something. So it's a matter of just helping each other and doing it Christ like you said. We want to be true Christians, not just in saying it out of our mouths, but in action as well.
And speaking of this, you're your own woman. I mean, you found your passion. What would you say to some critics that would say to you, well, why your book is faith based, but why you're not writing uh, a Christian book? Why you're doing a novel?
Mhm.
What would you say to your critics?
Well, I someone asked me that the other day, and I said, well, it is a Christian book because it's coming from a Christian author and a Christian perspective. But in the book, I don't try to be preachy, as they say, or I'm not trying to shove Christianity down anyone's throat. Now, I have some scripture in there that I'm hoping someone is going to get, that is going to touch somebody's heart. But because I know there are so many that will read it, I want them to read it and get something out of it. Again, like I said, to come away saying, hey, there's some questions I need to ask. I need to dig for the truth. I want them to come away from that. But they will find in my books, they will find some scripture. They will find me talking about God. So it is a Christian book, but I just did not make it where, it's where I'm actually trying to lead somebody to Christ in a way of where I'm preaching, even though I'm hoping that the scripture that's there, that the conversation that's about God, that someone will come to know him. But I did not make it where it's just a Christian book, so that someone that is not Christian pick it up, they can still get something out of it.
And it's very interesting. It goes back to something that I heard a popular pastor say. Um, when people put a title on you, it can imprison you because you're
Mhm.
so much more. Um, and thank God for you that you found your passion in writing. and in this style, and you're not letting someone box you up to say, well, if it's not this way, it's not right. If it's not, you are being true to your uh, authentic self.
Right.
um, what is in your heart to write about, to help people indirectly through your books. And I'm going to put this back on the screen. And this, y'all, is a good read. This is a good read. You can scan the QR code. Quest for Hell. It got some mystery in there. It got some inspiration in there. It has a
Some
lot
love
in there.
stories in there.
Love story in there. It is an interesting read. And I want you to click on the QR code in this Women's History Month. As we celebrate women, I want you to celebrate this author. She is an inspiration to many through her books and through her life's work. And her passion, as she said, she loves family, motherhood. And we thank you for joining us tonight in these last few minutes. And we're going to come back with our last segment with our dynamic author tonight. I want you to click and subscribe if you're on YouTube. I want you to tell a friend. I want you to go pick up a copy of her book. The QR code is on the screen. Quest for Hell. It's a great read. It's an inspirational read. And for those of you who were contemplating or didn't understand, I want to do something else. I want to navigate. Well, this Women's History Month, you, woman of God, you have something great inside of you. And all these women on tonight that you've witnessed, that we've talked about, had something great inside of them. You have to move forward. You have to let go of the chatter.
Yes.
Whatever someone say about you, you have to let it go, and you have to move in purpose.
Yes.
And sometimes that means moving in silence. But on this day, on this Women's History Month, this first episode of the Pearl Hale podcast, we want you to be inspired. We want you to understand that our doubts are trailers and make us lose the good we often might win by fearing to attempt. You, as a woman, attempt something today.
Yes.
You see, my sister here has attempted to write not just one book, but several books, because she's writing the vision and making it plain. And so God is having this sister run with it. Don't touch that dial. Again, I want you to consider being a blessing and supporting her by getting her book. The QR code is on the screen. And also, as we support women, this is Women's History Month, you're supporting women and men when you support the Black Leadership Summit. And we're going to come back with our last segment after this commercial break.
What does it take to be a change maker? Confidence, opportunity, and the right support. The Black Student Leadership Summit is more than an event. It's a movement designed to uplift Black students at historically Black colleges and universities. Through inspiring speakers, interactive sessions, and leadership resources, we help students amplify their voices, embrace their potential, and create lasting change in their communities. But to make this possible, we need your support. Your donation grants access to transformative mentorship, educational resources, and while raising funds for HBCU students, every contribution, big or small, helps develop the next generation of Black leaders, equipping them with the tools to thrive. When you give, you're not just supporting students, you're strengthening entire communities and shaping the future. Click the link below to donate today. Join us. Inspire change. Build a lasting legacy.
And so we are honoring the creativity and excellence of the faith-driven passion behind our top television shows. And there's so much effort that goes into these guys, so it's not just about just getting up there and talking. I mean, you are looking for the right person to interview, finding out what their story is, really delving into it, because whoever you bring on stage, they are pouring into others and impacting their lives. And that is something that's very important, because when we're impacting others' lives, we want to make sure that we're making a positive footprint. And then we also have the Pearl Hale Show. Let's give it up. And all of the hosts, stand up. Definitely stand up. If I did call on your name, stand up. Absolutely.
Welcome back to the Pearl Hale Show. I want you to click and subscribe. We are hanging out tonight with one of my favorite authors, and her new book, The Quest for Hell, is a must read. We're excited as we're talking this Women's History Month about I can do all things through Christ that strengthens me.
Yes.
It's not about my own strength,
Right.
but it's about Him who's strengthening me to get to my purpose.
Yes.
Stop looking at other people.
Yes.
Stop trying to be like Sister Sally. Be you.
Be you.
I might be assigned to do movies. I may not be assigned to have a church, but I may be assigned to inspire someone's life through my words, through my work. You want to be authentically you, woman of God, princess, queen.
Yes. Yes.
You a queen. And on that note, in our last segment, I want you to give what are some encouraging words that you can give to women who are struggling with finding their purpose?
Well, again, you want to find your passion. Whatever your passion is, that's where your purpose is. You want to be resilient, and you want to like we talked about. You want to live your life in your true identity. Don't try to be like anyone else. You might see someone else, like with writers. I'm a writer, and there's other writers. I love Judith McNaught, but I can't try to be her. I have to be the writer that God made me to be. Be your true self. Don't give up. Don't give up. Don't give in. Be resilient, and have faith in God, and have faith in yourself. And as we're saying today, make sure that you reach back and help somebody else. Because when we go and reach back to help somebody else, we're helping ourselves. We're helping ourselves. So don't forget to do that. Be yourself and reach back and help someone else.
That is great. And this Women's History Month, I want you to support us. I want you to click on that QR code and get a copy of her book, Quest for Hell. Also, want you to be a blessing to the Pearl Hale Show as well. I want you to get that. Click on that QR code. You're blessing women this month, and it's certainly an awesome read. Also, I want you to pick up a copy of my book as well, Bruised to be Used. The QR code is on the screen.
Yes.
The QR code is on the screen. Well, I'm going to put it back up. We thank you so much for joining us on tonight. And remember, I can do all things through Christ that strengthens me.
Amen.
As a woman, as Bell Hooks said, as Sojourner Truth said, ain't I a woman? Yes, we are.
Yes, we are.
We can get things done. Life changes equals life transformation. As my sister said, don't be afraid to pull up some things. Excuse me.
Don't be afraid.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Don't be afraid to pull up some layers, to heal,
To heal.
and to be set free.
Yes.
My throat, I got choked for a minute. But I thank you so much for watching the Pearl Hale Show. And Thank you so much and have a great evening. Thank you so much, Ms. Payton.
Thank you.
And we're going to have you back sometime soon. Thank you
Oh,
all
I can't
for
wait.
watching.
Thank you.
And I want you to click on the QR code, order her book, and order a copy of my book as well.
Yeah.
You'll be a blessing to the Pearl Hale Show. Thank you so much, and good night.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night. Thank you.